Before you can actually use your VA loan benefit, there's one document that proves that you've earned it. It's called the Certificate of Eligibility, or your COE. And if you're planning to buy a home using a VA loan, this document is one of the very first things that lenders are going to look for. But here's the good news. In many cases, getting your certificate of eligibility is actually very simple. But the problem is that a lot of veterans either don't know what the COE is, or they just assume that they have to track it down themselves. So in this video, I'm going to explain what the certificate of eligibility actually is, why it matters when you're using a VA loan, and how you can go about getting one. Because once you understand how the COE works, the rest of the VA loan process starts to make a lot more sense. If we haven't met yet, I'm the Loan Caddy. I'm a GWAT veteran, currently still serving in the Army Reserve, and a mortgage broker specializing in VA loans. And this video is one part of my VA Loan Masterclass series, where I'm breaking down how the VA loan actually works so that veterans and service members can understand the benefits that they've earned through their service. Because the VA loan actually happens to be one of the most powerful home buying tools available, but only if you understand how to use it and leverage it correctly. So let's get started with the basics. The Certificate of Eligibility, or COE, is the document that the Department of Veterans Affairs issues confirming that you're eligible to use the VA home loan benefit. Think of it like the VA's official confirmation that you've earned this benefit through your military service. When a lender's originating a VA loan, they have to have proof that the borrower qualifies for the program, and the COE is that document. So without it, lenders are unable to process your loan as a VA loan. So while it's not something that most borrowers ever even think about, it's an essential step in the process that every borrower should understand. So your certificate of eligibility includes several important details. First of all, it confirms that you're eligible for the VA home loan program. Secondly, it shows information about your VA loan entitlement. An entitlement refers to the amount the VA guarantees on your loan. And that guarantee is often what allows veterans to offer benefits like no down payment in many cases and more flexible guidelines when processing the loan. The COE can also show whether you've used the VA loan benefit before. And this is important because many veterans actually don't realize that the VA loan benefit can be reused multiple times throughout their lives. You're not limited to using it just once. But we're going to get into that subject deeper in a later video. So one thing that actually surprises a lot of veterans is that they don't have to get the COE themselves. In many cases, when you apply for a VA loan, your lender can retrieve your certificate of eligibility electronically through the VA system. This process usually takes only a few minutes. So the majority of borrowers never even see the process happen behind the scenes. However, there are some situations where the system can't automatically locate your records. And when that happens, the lender may need a few additional documents from you to verify with the VA that you're eligible to use the VA home loan benefit. Some of those documents may be things like for veterans who have already separated from service, they most commonly need to verify the DD-214. This document shows your dates of service and the character of your discharge. For people that are still serving on active duty, lenders may request what's called a statement of service, which confirms that they're currently serving and in good standing. And for National Guard and Reserve members, eligibility verification can sometimes require additional service records depending on your activation history and service history. Once those documents are submitted, the VA typically issues the certificate of eligibility fairly quickly. But here's something I see fairly often. A veteran reaches out about buying a home using the VA home loan benefit, and they're worried that they don't have all the right paperwork already. Sometimes they think that they need to go contact the VA themselves or start digging through their old military records. However, once we submit their application and pull their eligibility through the VA system, their certificate of eligibility is usually already there. So what they thought was going to be complicated actually ends up being a step that just takes a few minutes. This is a good reminder that a lot of the VA loan process happens behind the scenes. Your lender handles many of the steps for you, so you never even know that they've happened. So with all that being said, the certificate of eligibility matters because it officially confirms you've earned the VA loan benefit. Without it, lenders can't move forward with the loan as a VA loan. But it's also important to understand something else. The COE only confirms that you are eligible to use the VA Home Loan Benefit Program. It does not mean that your loan is going to automatically be approved. Your loan approval is still going to depend on factors like income, credit history, debt levels, and the property being purchased. So the COE is really just the first step in confirming that you can actually use the benefit. So to summarize, the Certificate of Eligibility is the document that proves that you've earned the VA Home Loan benefit. It confirms eligibility to lenders. It shows information about your VA loan entitlement. And in most cases, a lender can retrieve it electronically for you when you apply for a VA loan. So while the name may make it sound complicated, the process itself is actually usually pretty simple. Now that we've covered the Certificate of Eligibility, the next big question I get from many veterans is, how much can I actually borrow using the VA loan? Well, there are several different factors that determine your purchasing power when you're using the VA loan benefit. And that's exactly what we're going to be breaking down in the next video. So, if you're a veteran or service member planning to buy a home and you want to understand how the VA loan works, make sure you subscribe to the channel. In this VA Loan Masterclass series, I'm walking step by step through everything a veteran needs to know about using their VA loan benefit. If you have questions about VA loans, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help point veterans in the right direction, and I'll see you on the next hole.